The Sweet 16 starts tomorrow in New York, Memphis, Anaheim, and Indianapolis, and we are clearly here in Raleigh. Hello, I'm Joe Giglio, joined by Laura Keeley, a.k.a. the Keels, a.k.a. the Scourge of Twitter and Keels. We are on a rooftop again in Raleigh.
We are.
The NCAA tournament is not here in Raleigh.
It
for the
is not.
First time since 1996, one of the Triangle teams, not one of the final 16 teams in the tournament. First time since 1979, one of the Big Four, not one of the final 16 teams in the NCAA tournament. NC State losing in the round of 64. Duke losing in the round of 64. Carolina losing in the round of 32.
In Wake Forest, we're waiting for you to rejoin us in the postseason.
We are, by far though, the biggest surprise, Duke playing at the PNC Arena, losing to the 14th seeded Mercer. Keels, you cover the Blue Devils. Is there an explanation yet here on a Wednesday on the eve of the Sweet 16 as to why Duke's not there?
Not officially. We're actually meeting with Mike Krzyzewski later this afternoon. Maybe he'll shed some light on why it is we're here and not in Indianapolis. But, at the end of the day, Duke never learned how to play defense. They were awful defensively throughout the year, and it got worse the later the season got. Going into the tournament, every single one of the games they played in March ranked in the bottom 10 as far as defensive performances. And then, obviously, everyone saw what happened against Mercer. They kind of drove the lane and cut at will, and and the other side, they plugged the lane, and Duke acted like that was an impenetrable defense. So, at the end of the day, they didn't play good enough defense. And they also never really found that toughness that you were looking for, that you had been looking for.
That you expect out of Duke.
That you would expect out of Duke. Yeah, look, Mike Krzyzewski's pretty good at what he does. I don't really know that he's had very many soft teams, if any, before this year. Maybe a few, but they had a 5-point lead against Mercer with less than 5 minutes to go, and they didn't get it done.
Couldn't close it out.
They couldn't close it out.
We sat up here before the ACC tournament. That was after Duke had played well against Carolina.
Yep.
We saw Rodney Hood and Jabari Parker driving the bus, leading that team. And after that game, even Mike Krzyzewski remarked, that's the first time all year that those two players were outstanding together. In my opinion, that seemed to be the problem with Duke this year, is I thought those two guys could play at that level, certainly for more than one game of the year. Why do you think it just never really clicked? They took turns.
They did take turns.
They took turns, but it never seemed like they were together like they were in that Carolina game.
I don't know if we're getting into a personality thing here, because, Jabari Parker by nature is just not very aggressive. He's not very commanding. It's almost like his experience growing up being a really elite recruit, worked against that, because he's always been so quick to defer attention, and he deferred on the court often. And, Duke was never able to kind of grab him by the shoulders and be like, we need you.
And they tried.
They tried. They definitely tried, but for some reason it never clicked. And, I'm not sure how aggressive by nature Rodney Hood is either. So, you just never, other than that Carolina game, you never saw the two of them playing at that high level together. And, that's what needed to happen for Duke to be successful.
So now, here's the question for Duke, the big question. You turn to Kyrie Irving after winning the national title in 2010. He gets hurt. Really, that was almost beyond their control.
You almost throw that one out.
Austin Rivers comes in. He's not really Kyrie Irving, but he's a lottery pick. He had a very good year.
Yep.
Made a very memorable shot against Carolina.
Yep.
But that was pretty much his lasting contribution, was
Absolutely.
a regular season shot over a dumbfounded Tyler Zeller.
Yep.
First round loss to Lehigh.
Yep.
They had a veteran team last year, maybe a little star-crossed with Kelly's injury. The draw they had, they were probably a Final Four team last year with a veteran team.
Yep.
So we hitched the wagon again to a singular one-and-done player. First-round loss. And I'm not blaming Parker, don't get me wrong. But I'm interested in your opinion. Do you think the model works of relying and turning your team over to a one-and-done player, the way that they have 3 times in the last 4 years?
And are about to next year.
And are on the precipice of doing again in 2015.
I think there has to be some soul-searching at Duke to figure out if this is the way that works best for the Duke program. Not John Calipari and what he's done in Memphis and Kentucky, but if this works best for Duke. And, because you think about the great Duke teams, the ones that won national championships, they were all led by upperclassmen, and in most cases seniors.
Yeah.
That's how Mike has been successful.
And he said that to Dan Patrick in Sports Illustrated last week. He wishes he had Ryan Kelly to lead Jabari
Right.
Parker so that he had some of that veteran leadership. I guess the question is, why wasn't Quinn Cook or why wasn't Rashid Suleiman or Andre Dawkins, a fifth-year guy? Why didn't they have more of a leadership role? I guess that's what's confusing to me.
I think in order to lead, like really lead, I think you got to be one of the best players. I think you have to be able to command that respect on the court in addition to what you do off the court. Last year, Mason, Ryan, and Seth, those are your three best players. Josh,
Easy to drive the bus when you're in the front of the bus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're not going to have that next year. So, yeah, they're going to need to somehow figure out a way to get more out of what will constantly be referred to as a young group.
Yeah. All right. Well, our teams are gone. Just real quick, you have a thought about who might win this thing? Of the 16 teams that are left?
That's a really good question.
Because my pick's gone.
Well, mine too. We both picked Wichita State. If Kentucky's going to start playing up to their potential, it's kind of scary to think about how far they could really get through the bracket. But I don't know that I'm ready to hitch my wagon to Kentucky.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm going to be stupid. I'm going to pick the winner of the Michigan State-Virginia game. I think that team is the toughest team.
Tough.
You talked about toughness. I think there's your toughest team, and I think there's your winner. Of course, I'm the same guy who picked Wichita when the tournament began, so what do we know? Hey, thank you for joining us, and keep following us in the offseason, and we get more updates, and read Keeley's story tomorrow about Mike Krzyzewski's press conference at newsobserver.com.